Fantasizers, I'm Cam McCall, and this is the Pinkbike Fantasy Downhill presented by Trek recap show for stop number 3 in Leogang, Austria. As you can see, I'm not at my jumps or in my garage. I'm also in Austria, not in Leogang where the race was, just a hop, skip, and a jump away. This is Innsbruck for Crankworks. But let's get going right here with some women's results. Top 5, it was Emily Siegenthaler in 5th, Monica Hrasnik in 4th, Tracy Hanna in 3rd, Miriam Nicole, and Rachel Atherton taking the win by just over a half a second. Now this is Rachel's first win in over a year. She was battling that injury from last year, so she's back on the top now. An interesting thing that happened, Tawny Seagrave, who was looking fast in her run, she went out of the tape, came back in, not exactly where she went out, so she got a disqualification. That was a big deal for you because a lot of you spent a lot of money on her. More on that in a minute. But we got to talk about Monica Hrasnik. This is her first elite podium, and it made her the best bang for your buck for the women's category. She cost you $150,000. She brought in 150 points. So that's a pretty good bargain deal right there, $1,000 per point. If she can keep delivering like that, you want to keep her on your team. Let's move things over to the men. Top 5 for the men. In 5th was Loris Vergier, 4th Troy Brosnan, 3rd Laurie Greenland, 2nd Aaron Gwynn, we don't say that very often. And 1st, remember this guy from last week, Amory Pierron? This is insane. His first 2 World Cup wins come back to back, crowd surfing 2 waves in 2 weeks. This guy was so psyched. We're gonna have a little bit more on that later too. Enough about the racers and their results, let's talk about your results. The winner of this round was Quincy85. This user pulled down 955 points, which was the most points that anybody's earned from winning any of the rounds so far. And this is how he did it. Take a look at his choices. He had Pierron, good choice, Dakota Norton, Sam Blankensop, Michael Jones, Rachel Atherton, and Monica Hrasnik. So for winning those 955 points, he moves somewhere higher up the rankings, but he also gets a BONTRAGER rally helmet and a set of BONTRAGER ion lights. So congratulations to Quincy85. Now let's crunch the numbers a little bit on who you guys were choosing out there. The most owned rider for this stop was Sam Blankensop. 28% of you had him on your team. He scored 16th place, so hopefully that got you a couple points. Now, Pierron, I told you we were gonna come back to him. Those 2 crowd surfing waves in 2 weeks. This guy's just having the time of his life out there, and you guys are paying attention. 10% of you had him for Fort William on your team, 20% of you had him now, and why not, right? The prices for these riders don't change every round. This guy's on a heater. How many riders actually win a World Cup race in their entire career? This guy's won 2 in 2 weeks, and his price stays the same. You'd be foolish not to put him on your team. 20% of you had it going on up here. I want to see more of you with him on your team. If you like points, do you like points? Do you like things like BONTRAGER ion light sets and BONTRAGER rally helmets? Well, if you do, this guy's on a heater, and if this was Vegas, things would be changing. It'd be harder to get. So pay attention. Now, Tawny Seagrave, she went out of the tape. We talked about that. That equals a disqualification. So she was the least bang for your buck. 25% of you had her on your team. She cost so much money. I have it here somewhere. I think it was something like $600,000, and she brought you 0 points. Yeah, 600K. Oh, I'm so sorry for all of you. All your valuable Monopoly money. Just might as well just open up your wallet, turn on the fan, and let it blow. You blew it. You blew it. You got no. She's a great bet though. I understand where you're going. That can happen to anybody. That's just World Cup downhill racing. Did you see how fast she was going in that jump section? So who knows what her time would have been. I think she probably knew that it was a wash after that. She didn't look like she was charging as hard afterward, but she charged your credit card $600,000, gave you no points in return. Condolences to those of you who had her on your team. Best bang for the buck. Let's take it up a couple notches, be a little bit more positive. That was Matt Walker. He cost you only $25,000 and he brought in 37 points. 37 points that you didn't get if you didn't spend the $25,000 to put him on your team. So way to go, Matt Walker. He's been coming out swinging. Now, we talked about Monica Hrasnik getting her first women's elite podium, $1,000 per point. So that was a good call. But right now, let's take a look at the fantasy downhill current leaderboards. Do I have sweat under my armpit? Hey, we're all about interesting facts here, and we're gonna take this one just completely out of left field. This is an interesting fact about me, not that you care. I only sweat out of my right armpit. It's the weirdest thing ever. Back on track. Fantasy downhill current leaderboard looks like this. Hopefully they actually put it on that side. Maybe they're putting it right over my face. Put it right over my face. This is what the fantasy downhill current leaderboard looks like. Not too many familiar names out there, except for the guy sitting in second who won the Fort William round, and Arhichas. I think he was from like Finland or something like that. There's a flag next to his name, so you can fact check that right now if you want. So he's sitting in second place, still killing it, but moving into the lead right now. If it stopped right now, you'd be winning a Session 9.9 with a custom Trek Factory Racing paint job. That is Le Rouge. Le Rouge sitting in the lead. So hold on, Le Rouge, that bike is so close you can taste it. Those people are doing good. Somebody who isn't doing very well is Pinkbike's very own Paul Haysom. Paul, you're doing great, man. You're sitting in 11,280th place. Just keep on chugging, buddy. That custom painted Trek Session 9.9 is right within grasp. Paul, just quit while you're ahead, buddy. Quit now. Just quit now. So we got to give you some picks for the next round, which is coming up in July. This is June, so it's the next month from now. So you have plenty of time to follow all those riders on Instagram, figure out who's doing well, who's injured, take them off your team. You don't want to spend $600,000 on somebody who doesn't show up for the race, because a lot of you have done stuff like that. But I have to say Pierron. That's why I said we're going to come back to him, because I want to drive this home for you. 20% of you figured it out, and you're smart, because I don't even think he's figured it out yet. Check out this montage of some of his reactions after the last 2 weeks when he won. See, he is just absolutely blown away by his performances. Too bad for him the next race isn't right now, because he does not need time to think about this. He's obviously flabbergasted by his performances, so hopefully he doesn't, think too hard and lose it going into Val di Sole. But the fact that he's the guy wearing the leader's jersey and he's still costing you the same amount of money as he did at the beginning of the season, that's my pick for Val di Sole. Put your money on him. He's a French rider. Val di Sole, the track in Italy, it's so incredibly steep. So you got to think he's been training in France on the steep tracks they have out there next to the next Crankwork stop in Leger. What's the name of that town? You know the one I'm talking about, Tom. The town, Morzine, yeah. If he's practicing Morzine before going to Val di Sole, and he's got another month to just fully get all that confidence that I think is still brewing in his head as he's trying to figure his life out right now, put him on your team. The deadline for making your choices is July 7th. The next race is Val di Sole in Italy. We'll see you then. Adios, amigos. I'm gonna go ride my bike.